Metal Car.
Hey, Merman.
They say the real test of pros is how do you perform in less than ideal conditions, John. I wouldn't know. These are ideal conditions as far as I'm concerned. We're just here in the moment, taking it as it comes. Sunday evening, we are live on YouTube. To everybody on YouTube, hello, great to have you. If you are listening to the podcast, we've got a YouTube channel. If you're watching the YouTube, we got a podcast. That's what you need to know.
Yep. Subscribe. If you're watching on YouTube, subscribe to the pod. Leave a comment in the podcast review. You know, not a comment, but a question for the Q&A. We do a little mailbag. Comes out on Saturday. We call it Bag Alert. No big deal. Do that right now. Leave a 5-star review if you like us. If not, leave a 4-star review.
Leave a question in that review on iTunes and tell us your favorite bar. That's how you get in the mailbag at the end of the week. Lee on YouTube says need some Titos after that game. Need Titos during the game. Need Titos on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. We'll get to that. But, John, let's just start and dive right in. Was it Trey Lance's fault that the 49ers lost to the Arizona Cardinals, that the 49ers scored one touchdown and fell to 2-3?
I wouldn't give him all the blame. He did play a role in the loss. It was a disastrous, I would say, team effort. Their quarterback play was pretty hit or miss, though. And anytime your quarterback play... Now, Kyler wasn't great, for his standards, though he still hit way more big plays than Trey hit. The coaching was terrible. The performance by individual players like McGlinchey was getting absolutely abused. Kyle Shanahan did not have a great day. Their ability to convert... the penalties, at one point in time, I swear to God, they had 15 penalties, and I looked, and it was only 7.
Oh, I had the same feeling. I looked, it was 4.
I looked, and it was 7. Now, I do think a couple times, like, when it happens on third down, if you just decline for a punt or something, right?
I think Josh Norman had one early in the game, and the result of the play was a first down catch to Hopkins, so that was declined.
Yeah. So I think maybe like a sack, right, or a forced incompletion on a late down, if you really broke it down, because I swear to God, I was like, there are 27 penalties so far, and it's the middle of the third quarter. I looked, the Cardinals had 6, and the Niners had 7. I'm like, this doesn't add up. No wonder it's like, don't ever trust the eye test. You got to look at the analytics. I was like, okay, it doesn't quite feel that way. But the fourth down play calling, the use check play, I love use check. And I don't blame, I blame coaches when they put players in an uncompromising situation. That play call made no sense because it wasn't a half inch. He had to go like 1.5 yards. It wasn't even close. But the quarterback, and we'll dive into him extensively later on, was a long way to go, okay?
Yeah, look, he's the quarterback of a football team that just lost a one-possession game. So some of it was his fault. It wasn't all his fault. It is, as coaches like to say, a team game. Right now I see a team that can't quite take advantages in the word. I see a team that is not able to give a rookie quarterback the environment that a rookie quarterback needs in order to win, right? And that environment is usually no penalties. That environment is no drop passes when the rookie quarterback hits you in stride on 3rd down and 12 or whatever it was on the Sanu drop, right? That environment is, this guy's a rookie, so let's play like a well-oiled machine to help the fact that he's a rookie. Whereas they look like a team of rookies. Not on defense. Offensively, now, maybe if, we deep dive it, John, there'd be some case that, well, sometimes he's holding the ball long, and that leads to holding penalties. He's indecisive in the pocket, and that leads to issues downfield and in the pocket around him. Probably a part of it. So there's a way you got to play when you've got a rookie quarterback. The guys who've been there 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 years, because you cannot afford all the other mistakes around that rookie quarterback.
Well, I think for a large portion of the game, it felt like the game was 24-0. And it feels like that for the person watching it. It feels like that, I think, for the coaches standing on the sideline. It can feel like that as a player, like we're getting beat really badly. But ultimately, and I say this all the time, we make too big a deal about yards and big plays. It's about points. That dictates the entire game. And for a large portion of this game, it was 10-0. And Kyle Shanahan, who I've always said, and everyone, it's not like breaking news, what makes him unique as a younger coach is he's not pass happy. He's a run first coach. Now, I know he ran his quarterback, but they have, I mean, even when Sermon came in, he only got the one carry. Like, I would have slammed Mitchell and Sermon way more. Instead, he just used Trey like a punching bag to run it up through the tackles. And basically on every play, instead of running it, Elijah Mitchell is good. Trey Sermon could have been used in this game. Like, if you want to limit a passing game that is clearly struggling, use your fucking running backs. And I understand your quarterback kind of operated like a running back today. He led the team in carries. He ran for 90 yards. But it was probably a little much. You know, it was probably, you could argue, I'm not trying to defend Trey, but he took a big pounding for a guy in his first start who's also expected to throw it. I mean, he threw it 30 times today.
Yeah. To me, the biggest problem they had on offense, they had several. The number one problem was how many down and longs were they in? How many first and 15s?
Because they're holding on first down, because you're throwing on first down, and then all of a sudden it's 1st and 20. Like, how many first and 20s did he have in the second
starts?
half?
Yeah, it was 3rd and 15s. It was plays that went 3 yards backwards on first down, and then it's 2nd and 13, and then you run the ball, and now it's 2nd and 11, and now it's 3rd and 11, and it was a mess.
They're a sloppy team, and
yeah,
ultimately
that's exactly right.
And the head coach is responsible for that. Right now, Kyle Shanahan has an extremely sloppy team. Now, there are points in the game like you'd go, the penalties, right? Sloppy. Or is it McGlinchey, who they picked up as 5th-year option, playing a team that, I don't know, has 2 Hall of Fame talents on their line, got fucking abused.
Yeah, Trent Williams had a couple penalties today.
Yeah, I mean, the holding one, his
and then there was another play where he and McGlinchey both had it, and just because the football gods, the Trent Williams penalty got declined and the McGlinchey penalty got accepted, even though they're the same penalty.
But McGlinchey was clearly overwhelmed from a speed standpoint. Like, he can't hang with those guys speed-wise. To me, Trent Williams, I allow a guy to have a penalty every once in a while. I don't worry about his ability to block J.J. Watt and Chandler Jones. I do not believe that McGlinchey one-on-one can block those guys.
Yeah, but it wasn't. It was also defensive penalties, which I didn't. To me, most of the defensive penalties, I could be wrong. Maybe someone can remind me. I can't think of one defensive penalty that I would categorize as sloppy.
I do. One takeaway, though, on the penalties, just over an overarching theme in the NFL, is that I do believe that it's tough to be a defender. Everyone understands that, right? Like, trying to mirror a guy, you're grabbing back and forth. They never call it on the offensive guys, and I'm not trying to act like a homer here, but there were several times, Mosley's going like this. The Cardinals, because, like, Hopkins can't really run. So a huge part of his game is that he kind of acts like a DB, and then he never gets flagged. Like, and I'm not even just talking about this game. Overall, a wide receiver can basically do whatever the fuck he wants, and they never throw a flag on offensive pass interference. It's kind of crazy. I mean, the officials today were atrocious. And I'm not trying to act like just the night, just overall. I mean, they didn't blow the whistle on an incomplete pass, on a tip ball. And when you don't blow the whistle, you end up getting this crazy collision where offensive linemen are jumping on people. Like, people are going to get hurt. Blow the whistle.
Yeah, that one was bad. I thought the rest of it was exactly how it always looks. That one was that was one of the worst non-play blown deads I've ever seen.
Well, it's unacceptable, but it is acceptable because nothing ever happens.
Yeah, I mean, they're humans, and that one I think is a result of Twitter beating them over the head to never blow plays dead, and so the NFL beats them over the head to never blow plays dead, and that's what you get. Like, there's an explanation for it, which is people get so angry about blowing plays dead, which I understand. That you also get that. Guys are terrified.
Why get it on fumbles, but on a pass when it hits a guy's hand?
It happens all the time now. That one was bad. Again, that one.
You're right. It does happen a lot.
They don't blow plays dead ever anymore.
No,
ever.
Yeah, you're right.
But I do think some of the stuff that happened, I would be really interested to ask. Could we remember this from? There were some plays with Kaepernick early where it was like there was a holding, but part of the holding was the amount of time you had to block. You didn't quite know where the quarterback was. The quarterback dropped too far back out of the back end of the pocket. And so with the defender way upfield, all of a sudden now he's in a sack situation when the quarterback should have stepped up. I would be interested to know from the offensive standpoint, is Trey Lance difficult to block for at this juncture in his career? Because there are times where I think he should be gone, where the ball should be gone. And one thing I loved about him when we watched him in college is he clearly tries to hang around and make plays downfield. But to me, that's a level for another day. Like right now, and I said this last week as we led up to the game, to me, it'd be like first option there, second option there, gone, go. And I feel that way again today. Like first option there, second option there, go.
You want to dive into Trey Lance? Because that's what I want to talk about.
All right, let's talk about Trey Lance, John. Before we do that, though, let's tell the people for the first time today that this show is brought to you by our friends at Tito's Handmade Vodka. Tito's Handmade Vodka. Many of you send us the photos. We appreciate that. Keep sending us photos of you enjoying the #1 vodka in America.
I get a lot of joy when it's Friday morning, early 3-day weekend, Saturday or Sunday morning, and dudes are drinking, with their girlfriends, with their buddies, and the cocktails are flowing, the mimosas, the Bloody Marys, the bottle of Tito's on the table. I love it when you send us pictures of your Tito's and your cocktails. It brings me great joy. I love our leading sponsor, our presenting sponsor, Tito's Handmade Vodka. Happens to be the #1 vodka in America. You should drink it wherever you're out and about. Tito's soda, Tito's, obviously, vodka tonic.
John
Daly went with several yesterday. I can't get enough. Arnold Palmer, little Tito's, boom, you got yourself a John Daly. Do it right now. Vodka Cran, Tito's Cran, easy one. Get on it, people.
Do you think there's an easier thing to order at a bar than Tito's?
No.
Tito's vodka. Bartender.
I think it's as easy as it gets, guy.
I mean, I guess there was always the Neil Everett. Bartender! Jack! Was always a good sports center. But I prefer bartender Tito's.
See, I Jack and Coke is one of the all-time greats. But soda drinking in America has dissipated at high rates, right? You can't get the sugars. Now you go Jack and Diet, but it's just, I'm not a big dark guy when it comes to alcohol, so I go with my vodkas. So Tito soda.
Yeah, go check out the Tito's, everybody. If you haven't already, if you have, then you already know. Distilled and bottled in Austin, Texas. 40% alcohol by volume, namely 80 proof, crafted to be savored responsibly. MyBookie.ag, promo code HAM, the #1 as well. We're our lock of the week this week. We went back and forth. People who were listening last week know this. Should we go Niners in the points? Should we go Steelers? We got the Steelers at a pick 'em. This morning you texted me the Steelers were +1. We took them pick 'em, and Steelers won.
Felt very, very glad that we didn't do the Niners, because then we would be double whammy here. We'd be out of money. No, actually we wouldn't have. We had $300 more, so we would have had one more bet in us. But we would have been extra angry. And we didn't really love the bet. It was more just the value. The Steelers won. Even watching that game early on, it's like they were at home. They were playing Denver against Teddy Bridgewater coming off a concussion. Not to toot our own horn, but that was stealing money. MyBookie.ag, promo code HAM1. You got Giants-Dodgers tomorrow. You got the NBA starting in a couple days. You have, obviously, this following week coming up. How about if you're listening to this on Monday morning, you have week 1 Monday Night Football. Ravens hosting the Colts. The Colts get 7 points. It might be decent value. Carson Wentz got just a couple sprained ankles. No big deal. So check it out. MyBookie.ag, promo code HAM1. Tyson Fury, if you wanted to bet on that last night.
Did you watch that fight? It was a good fight.
Did you?
I did.
I did not. Where'd you illegally stream it?
Illegal stream. I was with Shane Vereen, who likes boxing, so he bought the fight.
Gotcha.
And it was good. It was good. The lighting was good. It was just a good show.
The thing I like most about him is how truly out of shape he is.
Meanwhile, it was Wilder looked more out of shape during the fight. How did you not stream it?
I don't know. I just
weren't in the mood to fuss with it. All right. Let's talk about Trey Lance's performance, John. Where do we begin?
Well, I think the overarching theme here would be my analogy for Trey Lance. Alamo, which is one of the most expensive areas in the state of California, is just within a mile drive of where I'm sitting right now. To buy a house in Alamo at a cheap price point is like $3.5 million. You buy a $3.5 million house in Alamo, this is not like Nevada or Arizona. It's a complete gut job. It's a complete teardown. It's old. The house is 50 years old. But the price to buy the house, to get Trey Lance, cost the Niners that. But then now that once you have him, it is a complete project. It's a complete gut job. Like, his project, I think we just throw that out. Like, yeah, he's going to need some work with all players, right? Any young player. Jonathan Kuminga, like, develop him. Whatever the development, wherever it starts, it's at zero. It's at complete zero. Like, he has to develop him. You basically just need to create a player, because where he's starting, he couldn't be starting any farther from like the starting point, right? It's crazy what I just witnessed, how far this guy has to go just to be like a okay NFL player, which is, again, this stat is not nothing, right? He was the youngest quarterback to ever start an NFL game. So just that.
Wait, youngest ever or youngest?
He's the youngest starting quarterback in NFL history.
Okay. 21
the youngest starting quarterback in NFL history.
I thought it was fifth youngest, but I guess you're right. It'd be hard to find 4 younger than 21 and change.
Yeah. Youngest starting quarterback in NFL history. Saw that several times. Twitter, they said it on the broadcast. I wrote it down.
Well, I know. I believe you. Because it had 2 bullets. One was like the youngest 49ers starter. There was a 5th something. I don't know what that was, but.
So he had, to me, like his physicality, like his body type. Okay, he looks the part, right? He definitely has that. Just looks the part. But accuracy, major question marks. Time clock in his head doesn't exist.
Doesn't.
His loopy release, we've already mentioned that. That's not even something you can work on this season. Like that is an off-season project.
Has it? I got to go back, and it's hard. You can't take a lot of footage during camp, but I don't remember it quite looking like that in practice. Now, again, games are different, but I remember us walking away going, "Yeah, that's a thing. Like, it's just going to take a while for the ball to get out." But the thing I think that's been, the thing that I didn't expect with that release, John, I thought it would just be a timing issue, but balls are getting knocked down constantly.
Yeah. I mean, I don't know if that's the loopy release. I don't know. I think guys are just putting their arms up. I mean, J.J. Watt has made a career out of that. He has just looked overwhelmed in the games. Just absolutely overwhelmed. That's just, to me, like Kyler today, right? Did not have, for his standards, by far the worst game he's had, right? At one point in time, like they were averaging 400-plus yards on offense, and heading into the fourth quarter, it was like 200 yards, and Sanchez and whoever he's calling the game with, like, they're doing a good job. You can just tell, like, Kyler's a little off, but whatever. He just kind of looks normal. Trey Lance looks like a guy that every defensive coordinator or every team in the league would send a limo to pick him up to play that right now. Again, he's 21 years old. He doesn't know what the fuck's going on. He has major flaws right now in terms of accuracy, in terms of the one thing we saw in practice was touch. Touch was not something that he always had a great feel for as the training camp went on and in those preseason games. It just looked overwhelmed. My biggest issue
was that when he identified who to throw the ball to, he wasn't always accurate. And, I think one of the things that we looked forward to with Trey Lance was if you could get the offense in the rhythm, you'd be able to take shots downfield. There were not really any. Did they take any shots downfield?
They threw one down the sideline that he overthrew, or
the one that threw it. The one to use check out of bounds.
No, he threw it. I think it was to Debo. They definitely threw a go route.
Okay. Well, there wasn't a lot of it, right? And no. I think there's clearly and understandably a trust issue with him throwing the ball down the field. The ball he threw on the first possession of the game that was intercepted when there was 12 yards to run, that was a high throw. But to me, you're going to get that guy on the move. Like quarterbacks miss high in that situation, right? Running towards the line of scrimmage, deciding to throw on the run. That's going to happen. But when he's in the pocket and has an opportunity to make a play, we see him miss in the same way at times that Garoppolo does. And you're not getting the benefit of the downfield throw to offset it. Like they are not able to throw the ball down the field for whatever reason, even with Trey Lance in his arm. And I think he's struggling when to run and when to. I thought he did a good. He did a lot of good things with his legs, and he did make some nice throws. And Sanu had a big drop on a third down.
Big drop, yeah. But Ayuk had an incredible catch. And when I say overwhelmed as a runner,
Debo had a big catch too.
When I say overwhelmed as a runner, he's comfortable running around. And the play calls, it's as a passer. I would imagine if you had the All-22 tape or we're sitting there right now with Kyle and McDaniels, like, did you guys make any deep passing game calls? Like send guys on deeper breaking routes? They said yes. He is not pulling the trigger.
Yeah, I think they did too. I think they did too because he was back there a lot with nobody in the vicinity. So I know everyone had to be downfield.
And if you don't know where the ball is going, you're probably hesitant to let it throw, 30, 40 yards. Because that was something going back to training camp when everyone, including ourselves, when we went to these practices and everyone was giving him a reach around, he was completing those balls. He was pushing the ball down the field. Not even on that one crazy highlight play that like kind of started the hype train, but just you went to a practice, he would push the ball down the field. 30, 20 to 30 yards. You're watching him today, it's all, if it's not a quick out or a dump off play, he's not pulling the trigger. And it doesn't feel like he's confident. Again, super young player, has not played at all. It just felt like when it came to the passing game, and it's a passing fucking league. So you can run around and run the Cam Newton offense, which they were running, which is fine to try to win today. And clearly that's what they implemented because it felt like a Cam Newton type offense. That's what it felt. With a little like some of the Lamar play calls. But part of calling the Lamar play calls between the tackles is he jukes guys and he makes a 5-yard run 9. Trey, clearly, he had the one play on like a ball outside the tackles where he was running and he's like, can I put a little Allen Iverson crossover? And the guy was like, you're not crossing. He just tackled him, right? He's not going to make anyone miss. Now, can he run through a guy? Well, I mean, he couldn't at the goal line. Now, granted, that's a big-time NFL collision, but so he's like Cam Newton, but he's not quite as powerful as Cam Newton. They're running some of these plays for like Lamar, but he's not as elusive as Lamar. Solid runner. Like he does bring added benefit as a runner. It's a positive thing that he brings to the table, but he's not dynamic enough to like overwhelm the poor passing ability, right?
Yeah, to be clear, I don't think he needs to be hitting deep throws right now. If they can just do the basic stuff in the pass game consistently, then the run game becomes so much more valuable. And again, the run game was really valuable. They had a shot to win the game in large part because of his ability to run the football. Many times he broke the pocket and made something out of nothing. And
well, I mean, they had a chance to win the game because the game flipped on, I know it's a rule, but a pretty questionable call on Chandler Jones, like lowering his head into McGlinchey. So they got a big play, and then he got an extra 15 yards. Then they scored, and then like the next series they fumbled, and they got the ball back.
Yeah, but to me
it was 10-0, and it did not feel 10-0, and then they scored, and it was a close.
Yeah, but to me it was a 10-7 game. Like just shit happens, penalties happen, fumbles happen, whatever. They had a chance to win the football game, and the reason they had a chance to win the football game was not because they were consistently throwing the football. It's just because they were running the ball effectively, and then they would stall out. I mean, 1 of 5 on 4th downs.
But think about this: they get that fumble, right?
They didn't get the safety call, which bothered
it's questionable
people
holding
call.
Me.
But, yeah.
Okay, so it's 10-7. The dude fumbles, they get the ball back. Post fumble, they go incomplete. Then they go quarterback run, he gets 6 yards. Then they run a slant to Ayuk, and this to me is
first down, batted ball, not just incomplete.
Okay, batted ball. Quarterback run, which some of those quarterback runs up the middle were very productive for him.
Sorry, which play are you on? Are you on the second down play?
I'm on the second down play.
Okay.
The third down play is when it kind of looked like Kaepernick or something.
Yeah.
It's like Ayuk's 5 yards away, maybe more than 5, like 10. And he throws, a Aroldis Chapman fastball that is behind him. And Ayuk is not the biggest guy, and he's fully extended, and it's over his fingertips. Just a horrendous pass. And that, to me, when they called run plays, and this is if you're going to defend Kyle Shanahan, he looked calm and at ease as a player. Whether it worked or not, it always felt like he was under control. Plays like that, game on the line, fourth quarter, you just got the ball back over a huge turnover. It's only 10-7, even though it feels like 30-7. Brandon Ayuk, NFL, small margin, Steve Young and all these guys always say the windows are really small. You got to, even when a guy's covered, he's still open. That's open in the NFL. And he throws a pass that looks like any player that we see in preseason, we go, oh, that guy sucks, right? That is just, didn't even give his guy a chance. And in the passing game, back to what I was talking about being overwhelmed, I don't know if he's rushing, if the loopy release is playing in, if he's too just hyped up, but that is just, didn't even give his guy a chance. It was just a hideous throw. Now, Jimmy does that too, so it's not like the starting quarterback doesn't do that, but that's a bad throw.
It's a bad throw. I don't think he was too hyped up because he did a lot of things that I thought, again.
I'm talking about when he went in the passing game, though.
No, I know.
Why wasn't he ever comfortable in the
I just think I think he's more inaccurate than I thought he was going to be to start with. I think it's that, John. Like, Like that's a little. If I told you it was just hyped up, you go, okay, just get him a few games, that'll settle down.
Well, he doesn't have much touch. Do you notice that? There's not much touch.
But that's the part that blows my mind. I watched him in college. He had the touch in college. Like Colin didn't have the touch in college. This guy had the touch in college.
But I mean, was he playing me, you, and 7 other guys?
Yeah, but he still had the touch. Like it's just, can you do it? Not who is it against. Now maybe you're right. Maybe he's sped up. It's an NFL game. Things are going a million miles an hour. He's 21 year old making his first career start
JJ
on the
Watt
road against
Chase
the Arizona Cardinals against guys he watched on TV.
Yeah,
JJ Watt and Chandler Jones. Like it is like when we talk about Cam Newton, like Cam had pounded his way to a national championship at Auburn before he entered the NFL and ran his offense. This guy's played one. I don't want to keep doing the thing where we talk about how he's played one football game in 2 years, but he has. So there's definitely stuff missing, but I don't know. I didn't think they helped him a lot today. If you said this team is in year 2 of a rebuild and this is their quarterback, I think we'd be having a completely different conversation right now, right? Like what the Niners situation is doesn't change Trey Lance's timeline. Like he doesn't develop any faster because they proclaimed themselves a Super Bowl contender when the season began, right? If the Niners were supposed to be a 4-win team or a 14-win team, it doesn't change how fast Trey Lance develops. Like he's going to these things that when we talk about it's a project, like it's not a science project that takes 2 weeks, right? It takes time. It takes years. Like when people talk, we'll talk about Mac Jones. Like Mac Jones doesn't get the ball down the field. I agree. I wouldn't have taken Mac Jones in the top 5 because I don't think ultimately his ceiling is there. But I also, if he's winning football games, I could give 2 shits if Mac Jones is 4 yards per attempt. He's a rookie quarterback. Just do the basic things well. And right now, it's this really pressurized mix of like you're playing in these these games that feel like you gotta win them.
Yeah, it's a pressure pack game.
And you've never been here before.
Like the Jets game.
And you're not, and your offense is not doing everything it could be doing to help you.
Would you agree that like Zach, the 2 guys drafted above him today, their games, I mean, I swear to God, I swear on everything, I didn't watch 1 snap of the 6:30 a.m. game. I didn't turn on my television. I barely even checked.
I'll be honest, I didn't get out of bed in time.
Well, me either. But I didn't even. I was out of bed by probably like 7:45 this morning. I refused. I made a point. Like I am not. I refuse. Now I checked the score and saw that like he had thrown a pick or whatever. But in fairness to Zach, the game meant nothing. It was completely irrelevant. Trevor Lawrence. They've lost 20 straight games. Longest losing streak since 1977 or something. Since like some athletic Instagrammed it out or whatever. But like Trevor, it doesn't matter. The games do not matter. The other problem for the Niners, unlike those 2 teams, is they don't have their first-round pick. Right? I mean, they invested a lot to get this guy, and whether he was going to play or not, I don't even think they knew. He clearly, and this is why maybe goes back to Jimmy laughing, and they knew this even in practice. And it also shows you, like practice, the one thing in the NFL, nothing, absolutely nothing duplicates what you see on a real Sunday. Not in a preseason, not a live fucking joint practice scrimmage. Week 1, week 2, week 3, you could be playing shitty teams, let alone the Cardinals with J.J. Watt, who still looks sweet, and Chandler Jones coming at you. There is no chance he ever saw anything like that against McNeese State or Weber State. But no one expected him to. But like when we're at practice, I've been doing this long enough to know this guy looks pretty sweet. But I always say this, you never truly know till what happens when he gets hit, what happens when they start rolling coverages, what happens on 3rd and 7. And clearly he doesn't have that right now. Right now, he cannot, like 3rd and 7, you have 0 trust in him to complete a ball, right? 0. I mean, it's 0% trust. When he does it, you are shocked.
I'd rather him pull the ball down and run.
I'm just talking about the passing. Like, he has to pass, and he can't scramble around, because he did scramble for a couple first downs. That is really the greatest strength of a young rookie quarterback when they can run around. Yeah. But he's also, but again, he's in this weird spot as a runner, which you mentioned earlier today, and he deserves a ton of, he is not looking, he wants to pass. That's a good quality to have. It's very Deshaun Watson, Russell Wilson-esque. He is not like, because I think he already realizes he's not Lamar running around, and he's not like Cam was like, okay, Cam Newton would have fucking given him 2 concussions at the line of scrimmage to Isaiah Simmons. And in fairness to
Pretty
Isaiah
impressive
Simmons,
to take on Isaiah Simmons.
yeah, he brought the heat. They both brought the heat. And Trey brought the heat. But I'm just saying, like, he ain't 6'5", 240, right? He's big, but he's not overwhelmingly big. He's in this weird spot. He's, to me, Deshaun Watson without the ability to pass.
Yeah. On YouTube,
That is a good quality to have, though.
It's a great quality to have. Go watch all the rookies' first games, says Zark Muckerberg on YouTube. This was one of the best games, you idiots. People get really sensitive about other quarterbacks. Like, why aren't you crushing Zach Wilson? Did you see Justin Fields? Zach Wilson's team sucks and is supposed to suck. The Bears are 2-3 after beating the Raiders today, and it's a miracle.
No, they're 3-2.
Oh, they're 3-2.
They're 3-2. Yeah.
Felt like my board didn't update here. Felt like they started 0-7 or somehow 3-2. To me, this is why I said what I said a minute ago. Trey Lance, unfortunately, and this is the situation, doesn't get to develop in the same situation that, fortunately and unfortunately, actually, some things will be better about it, some things will be worse. But if Trey Lance's team was supposed to be bad this year, then we'd be having, I'll say it again, a different conversation about Trey Lance. But Trey Lance's team needs to win today. They didn't. That's not all his fault. And so there's two conversations happening at one time. What are the things he's going to have to do better to become the franchise quarterback that you trade 2 first-round picks for? No franchise quarterback has ever been decided in his first start that he will or he won't be. No one's saying he won't be or he will be.
You can just grade the game.
Actually, by the way, we've said a million times we think he's going to be really good. So now we criticize him and everyone starts fucking acting weird. Like, chill out, okay? They're 2-3. And they got a problem. How do they fix the problem?
Well, I'll tell you.
Can he fix the problem? Help them? Can he be part of the solution for them? Or is this year going to be, this whole year is about getting Trey Lance ready for 2022? Well, if it comes to that, then it comes to that. And we'll be having different conversations.
Okay, well, let's dive into what we were going to talk about next then, because that kind of leads me right to where we were going to talk about what they should do the rest of the season.
Yeah, they should play him.
The only way for Trey Lance to improve, and he clearly has a long way to go, right? If this is a marathon, he just got out of the blocks and he kind of tripped, but he kind of got up and he ran and he's looking, he just got a long way to go. There is zero chance he can improve on any of this stuff by sitting on the bench. It makes, and I actually got a text today from, let's just say from someone in the league. And he said, basically, Jimmy with a greater than sign. Well, yeah. Can Jimmy do more shit than Trey Lance? Of course he can.
Well, he's better than Trey Lance right now today.
Yeah, and do they win that game with Jimmy Garoppolo? I don't know. Who knows? Maybe. What if Jimmy's terrible and throws multiple picks? I don't know. I mean, Jimmy is not that great, so I can't for sure say yes. Would he probably have completed some balls that Trey couldn't have? I would give you that. You're 2-3. You have invested the farm into this guy. I do not see how he improves by watching. He has so much to learn. And a lot of the learning is just to be comfortable with different throws. And clearly, it's not like, they were going to redshirt him because they were going to remake his release. Well, that ain't happening because he was just redshirted for 4 weeks and came in and his release looks exactly like we didn't think it was going to look like. So his release ain't changing this season. That is an off-season project. How could you, let's just hypothetically say, Jimmy's calf is healthy after the bye, they restart Jimmy Garoppolo against the Colts, and they win and they lose and they just stay afloat and Jimmy goes the rest of the season. Why would you expect Trey Lance to look any different Week 1, 2022 than what we saw today? I don't think you could, in good conscience, be like, I bet this guy's new and improved and a whole different animal. I would be expecting very much the similar stuff, where you get to work through this stuff, get more comfortable with the throws. The loopy release is not going away in 2021, but maybe on 3rd and 7, he's more comfortable. Maybe Kyle gets more comfortable making these play calls. Hell, maybe they end up going 7 and 9. And Miami ends up getting a pretty good pick out of it, the 14th, 15th pick, whatever. That's water in the bridge. It's already gone. But for 2022, he is so much more equipped to come down and hit the ground running. Because when you look at like Lamar and Patrick Mahomes, how good they were that second year, obviously Mahomes just played the one game and Lamar played half the season. I think they both won the MVPs that second year. That we can't even have a conversation of you couldn't even This guy, I mean, I can't even assume this guy can lead a 10-play drive where he has to pass it every time. Like, let's just build some basic things with this guy, but you have to do that through playing these games. Like, it's not like you just threw him out against the Jags. You did throw him out against a team that is pretty loaded on defense. Think about, like, all the guys you felt all day today. Isaiah Simmons, top 10 pick. Collins had some plays, top 15 pick. Watt, Hall of Famer. Chandler Jones, baller. Buda Baker pick. Like, their guys making plays are big. Like, that's pretty fucking legit competition. You could argue it's about as good as it gets. So it's all, I wouldn't say downhill from here, but like, hey, man, road start against an elite team, at least a team that's playing elite. You know, can they maintain it? We'll see. And I'm not going to try to diminish what Arizona's accomplished. It's really, really impressive. But, like, shouldn't it be easier after that? Like, Trey, you got a whole game under you. You know what to expect. We have a whole week now to kind of coach you up, figure stuff out, and then another week to get ready for the next game. I actually think that's the easiest, kind of landing spot ever for a quarterback. For a young guy, youngest quarterback. People in the chat were saying 49er history. I swear to God, the guy said quarterback in NFL history.
I did think the graphic said 49er history and then 5th youngest in NFL history, but
that makes sense.
I didn't write it down at the moment. So either way, young. I think there's one question. I could make a little flow chart.
He definitely played less than all those guys that I'm sure, like the Sam Darnolds and all that crap, right? Those guys were multiple-year starters. This guy had a season taken away from him.
Yeah, look, and there's no guarantee that if you start playing a bunch that it develops. Like, I know you watched UCLA this weekend for a minute. Dorian Thompson-Robinson, their quarterback, was famous. Like, he's been the thing. It's his 4th year starting. He was Tate Martell's backup at Bishop Gorman High School. And his freshman year, it's like, this guy hasn't played any football because he didn't start till his senior year. And then his sophomore year at UCLA was like, this guy hasn't played any football. And then his junior year, it was like, this guy hasn't played any football. And now we're in his senior year, and it's like, this guy hasn't played. Like, you can't use that, right?
But the guy's been a full-time starter for 4 years, right?
That's what I'm saying. There's an expiration date on he hasn't played that much football.
Yeah.
So I think it's this in the moment, you always think this year right now, winning football games is the most important thing. In the long-term development is obviously more important than in 2021, did you make the playoffs? So we make a simple flow chart. And in the middle of it, you say, or at the top of it, you say, are the Niners a deep playoff run team? Do they look like a team that makes a deep playoff run? And then you have a line that says yes and a line that says no. And the line that says yes, if you say yes, it's like, stay with Jimmy. And if the line says no, it goes, do you go with Trey Lance? And this is no, and you go with Trey Lance. And who knows what could happen? Because the Seahawks are toast. They got Geno playing. I don't think going with Trey Lance means you give up on the playoff chase by any stretch. I thought, in fact, what we saw from their defense today was really impressive.
Look at the Bears, guy. Wouldn't you say they're a good example of, like, Fields is feeling it out a little more and more? They're not doing anything too crazy, but they start winning some games. You start getting some positive mojo, and it starts flowing.
You're only 2-3. Like, you're not 2-9, 2-5, right? You're in a moment here. And I said this at the beginning of the year. Like, this was going to be Kyle trying to thread a very thin needle of trying to walk this line of, Jimmy, how much better is Jimmy? Is Jimmy good enough to get you there? And if he's not, do you go with Trey? And then when you go with Trey, can you still win with him? Like, it's a thin needle to thread. But the undeniable, overarching trump card on the whole thing is you traded 2, 3, whatever, first-round picks for Trey Lance. Like, he is the quarterback of your future. And the situation you have now is not a team that at this moment in time with Jimmy Garoppolo looks like it could go, win the division. So it's time to go with the young guy and make sure that when you really are in the next step of your development, you didn't stunt his and that he's ready for the next step.
What better way also to work on development than they often, wouldn't you say historically, recent history, a lot of younger players have started after bye weeks, rookie quarterbacks, right? Like, we get them to the bye week and then start them off the bye week. Now this guy has a full game against a big-time team to work with over a 14-day stretch to the next game. Like, isn't that ideal? Like, it's always been told to me through all these coaches, like, the bye week, he just got to start a game. So now, because what would you put the chances, like, if I'm not ruling out Jimmy starting the Colts, because I think fucking Kyle's this madman obsessed with the short term. If I'm John Lynch, if I'm anyone in the front office with any juice, I'm just like, Kyle, we just got to ride this out. This guy is our future. We have to, unless you think he's mentally, Where I do not think Trey is like mentally overwhelmed, mentally too much going on in the sense of like he'll get too high or too low. Because I think there are so many guys on the team that are so high level, like Juszczyk, like Fred Warner, Trent Williams. They're not a negative place. And they'll try to lift him up, right? Mentally, right? To not let him get too down on himself. Like if he's kind of slumping his shoulders on the bus and the flight home, like, bro, you'll be fine. We've all been there, right? And I think that's how you have to learn through it. Again, like I said earlier with learn by doing, the Cal Poly motto, I don't think any player in NFL history has really improved that much by not playing. Well, Patrick Mahomes is just an all-time outlier situation. Most guys that have had success over this decade have played really early on. At some point in their rookie year, several starts. And once you already get the start, now there's no point in treating them like, what do they call when you bring up the bullpen and then you put them down? What's that?
Dry hump?
That? Yeah, dude, don't
The
be
dry
dry
hump
humping this guy. Let's not dry hump him, Kyle. Just fucking let him figure it out, even if it is ugly. Because today there was a lot of ugly. And I could see as a coach, it could really limit when you're not just a coach, you're the offensive coordinator. I mean, he's probably pretty shell-shocked today of what some of the passing game looked like. Because you're right. It's how
and they
can a
didn't have
guy...
Kittle. We have to acknowledge that. Like, they didn't have George Kittle. If
But
I
he's
said,
not coming back for a couple games.
No, I know. But I'm just saying, if you said young quarterback, like pick one guy to be on the field with a young quarterback skill position, I'd probably pick George Kittle.
Would have helped.
Sorry, what were you going to say?
Just the batted balls is something that's kind of crazy to me. It just consistently happened today.
Yeah.
Outside the pocket, inside the pocket. I think you...
And I think the more it happens, the more defense, the more it's, defenders then go, oh, I can, right?
Well,
they start picking up.
I think
on
it's
it.
clear a coaching point on the other side. Put
Clearly.
your hands up. Because his release point must be coming out low, even though
coming out low, and I think you have more time to react, right? You see
yeah, it's true.
A
It
longer
doesn't get rid of
release.
the ball that fast.
I think
the loopy release guy is kind of a head scratcher. That is a big picture problem that they're going to have to fix. I'm not saying he's Tebow because he's got a stronger arm. Tebow's arm was really weak. That's as long as you're going to see all day today. How many football highlights do you see all day? That's the longest release by far.
Well, look at it next to Fields' release.
He gets rid of the ball.
Quicker.
Carr, Jimmy, Kyler, like up here and go. Aaron, Burrow. His is a full go. What is going on? That has to make him a little nervous upstairs. It just does.
I think so, but I also think that when the game slows down for him, his arm speeds up, right? Because then he makes the decision to throw sooner, and you hope that's the hope for this year. You're right. The plan in the offseason is whatever the footwork and the arm motion issues, however much you can change that. But I think what you have to do right now is you have to speed the mind up. And then you speed the mind up and you speed the arm up. I don't mean the physical motion gets faster. I just mean the decision to do whatever you're going to do comes sooner. And so the ball gets out sooner in terms of milliseconds after the ball's been snapped, not from the decision to throw. Yeah. So that's the only thing you can do now and the only way that happens, the only way for a game to slow down is for you to play the game. He's got to keep playing the game. He has to keep playing the game. And again, like the Cardinals are good. They're the only unbeaten team in the NFL. Say what you want about the McGlinchey, the Chandler Jones penalty. There were things that went against the Niners. Andy Lee drops a punt. It bounces back into his hand, and he punts it. The safety that wasn't called, if you think it should have been called.
It's the Australian now, not Andy.
It was, no. On the Cardinals, the first punt. He dropped the ball. It bounces right back in his hands. He kicks it.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Kyler, there was a play. I don't think Trey Lance doesn't have to be perfect for this team to win games. Like they're good. They're not a joke in terms of a roster. Like they can compete. I'm not saying he's got to be perfect. They just got to be incrementally better in a few areas. And I think it'll make him better too. I think if they're not on 1st and 23 times or whatever it was today, it makes him better. If you catch the ball for him, it makes him better. If you
very different.
You get Kittle back, it makes him better. It just there's some things that are going to make him better, and he sees the game more. It's gonna slow down for him. It's going to make him better.
They did abandon the run game beside him a lot of times during drives. Now, granted, it might just be at 1st and 20. It's hard to give it to Elijah Mitchell, But I do think those guys, Elijah Mitchell and Trey Sermon, combined for 10 carries.
Yeah, I mean, Trey had the
And
one.
again,
That's why when you're like, get Trey the ball, it's Trey Sermon the ball. It's like, well, Elijah's fresh. He's only had 9.
Well, that's fine, but I just get those two. Those two guys should have at least 18 carries combined.
Yeah,
it was
Elijah
10
Mitchell
nothing.
did have 2 receptions as well.
It wasn't 20-0 because I do understand the score. And that's what I'm saying. I think sometimes the score, you lose track of the score because you're so locked into what you're seeing, and it feels like, oh fuck, we need to throw the ball. That's what I felt like. And maybe they just felt his running, just call the play and just take off. For the most part, he ran into the 1 sack, but I thought like his pocket awareness was relatively good. He didn't feel lost there. He's got a lot to work with.
There's not. Sorry to interrupt you there. I think up here, like, I don't think he's frantic in the brain. I think it's just what to do. Like, is somebody open? Where do I go with the ball? But I don't see a guy that is like can't handle the moment, right? Are you saying that? Like to me, when I watch him on the field, I think he's okay with being on an NFL field. I just think
feel
it's
his skill set right now is he's not accurate, loopy release, ball's batted down. Like he's just got a shit that you would need to completely overhaul.
Yeah, I guess what I'm saying, the simple way to say it is I don't see a mentality that can't work. Like I see a mentality that can work. Like the play where he actually was down, but he keeps trying to drag the defender on one leg. His helmet pops off. They blow the play dead because his helmet's off, his knee's down, and he's still pulling on the defender. Like I think he thinks he belongs. He needs to be on the field. And we said this when we watched him in the preseason. We watched him in camp. We liked him. We watched him in the preseason. Our take was he's got to be on the field. This goes back to what we said last week. The argument, the more I watch him, the more you can make the argument he should have started week 1.
Well, the element of a quarterback that I think goes undiscussed the most and is an area that is consistently a separating factor of good players and guys that can't cut it, or would Joey Bosa ever said, like, yeah, I think he'd flinch and cut? Like, no. Like, I watched Trey Lance. I don't see any hesitancy. I don't see any, zero. I never get the vibe like, this guy's kind of a pussy in the pocket. Like, no executive or scout is going to watch that tape and think he's scared. That is a good thing. So when you are tough, there is a shitload to work with there. But ultimately, the NFL is about, like, it's 3rd and 9, deep out. Can you hit the ball? Right? That's ultimately what it becomes. Like, he has clearly you get more comfortable in the pocket. You just have more experience. Bodies flying around. He's not scared. It never looks like he's flinching like a guy's coming at him. It just feels like understanding where everything's going, and then can you just execute the throw? Like, my issue with him ultimately is, like, I don't feel he can just execute. Like, once the ball's leaving his hands, I don't feel it's going to get there. But, like, J.J. Watt running at him, I don't go, God, he looks terrifying. Like, no. That's fine. Like, to me, that's a huge positive for him. The problem is, for them to win games, you do need to complete passes.
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, it's where's this comment here? Aunt G says he has 3 to 4. He had 3 to 4 inaccurate throws. Y'all are acting like he's a high school quarterback or something. Does Jimmy not have 3 to 5 inaccurate throws every game? Yes, Jimmy does. And we talk about it all the time. He misses high. He makes mistakes. He creates turnovers. But
comparing a guy you just traded 3 first-round picks to for Jimmy Garoppolo is laughable.
Well, but John, I mean, you take the Sanu drop. Let's give him that one, 16 to 29. It's 55%. It was just when it came time to make repeated throws. Like, I think I don't know how you could say with any confidence right now that if you had the ball on your 8-yard line and you had to throw the ball against the clock to get all the way down the field, that you'd feel confident in that. People get so, like, there's life.
No, it's just YouTube comments, guy. I think most people.
No, but I see. What was the quote in Ethan Strauss's book? It was what's the name of Steve Kerr's buddy who was with him at Arizona, who's the assistant coach?
Bruce Frazier.
Gray hair, Bruce Frazier. He had a quote in that book that said, basketball is played in the gray area. And I adopted that quote for life. Like, life happens in the gray area where it's not exactly defined what you're supposed to do on this play. It's in the gray area. And quarterback development happens in the gray area too. It's not all bad. It's not all good. It's, do you see promise and what needs to be improved? I like Trey Lance, but but they need to help him more than they helped him today. And he clearly has to get better at some stuff. And he's got to play to do it. That's the point of this conversation. He has to play to do it.
Think about this. We started a podcast from scratch. We left radio and started it from scratch. And 5 years later, we've over the years keep figuring out, and we try to just keep figuring shit out. And no different than a quarterback. Once you start something, now granted, like we had already done a radio show. We already had the basic of how to put a show together, how to entertain people, what the main shit younger people like to talk about, what people that listen to us like that they didn't like on mainstream TV that you and I refused to watch as well. So we knew what to relate to. But over time, you improve, you find out specifically what to talk about, you find out the niches that you're really good about, and you do that with experience. Through experience, you improve. Now, do you have the baseline of talent to start? You know, there's a fundamental flaw right now, in my opinion, that Trey has that's pretty alarming. It's the release. That, to me, is by far my number one red flag on him. Other than that, character, maturity, toughness, like he's checking a lot of boxes for me. The way his teammates respond to him, like the loopy release, though, like it'd be like if we were a podcast, you and me host a podcast, and one of us struggled to speak. It'd be like, well, did he lose his voice last week, or is that always how he sounds? You know, that's going to be something that, like, historically, they always said accuracy was something. Remember Warren Moon, who used to came on with us, and he says it's very, very difficult to improve. And then in recent memory, all these guys have dramatically improved their accuracy, and part of that probably is a huge reason the NFL is a lot different than it was like in 88 and 92. Like, not as physical. Guys are a little more wide open. It's just a more passer-friendly game, but there's still a pitch and catch element to the sport at quarterback that you have to do at a really high level. And hell, Zach, Trey, Fields, like all these guys are going to have to prove it over the years, right? We got a long way to go. A lot of ifs, which is fine. I mean, he's a 21-year-old guy, but they've bought this is the Alamo. They've paid for the $3.5 million home. The problem is you just have to have another 1.5 to invest in to redo the house. Which they don't have a choice but to spend it. Well, luckily they do have the capital because they do have, in theory, Kyle Shanahan, who is known as a guy, a great offensive mind. What do great offensive minds do? They can mold. Yeah, let's talk about that part of it then. Let's talk about that part of Kyle Shanahan. Before we do that, before we get to Kyle Shanahan, because there's a lot of comments about Kyle Shanahan. We've been talking about him for a while in terms of the offense. Let's tell everybody, John, about wineaccess.com/ham. Wineaccess.com/ham. Where right now you get $50 off your first order of $150 or more at wineaccess.com/ham. Here's what happens. You go to wineaccess.com/ham. I did it this week, but I didn't even get the deal because I had already used it. My buddy Aaron Warshawski, college roommate, just had a baby. Congratulations. Sent him a bunch of bottles of wine. No big deal. I'm a good friend. But wineaccess.com/ham, if you've never used our promo, you spend up to $150 or more. You will get $50 off. And it's incredible. Like, you just go, you type in, let's say you want Pinots or Cabs, and then you can find the region. And then it will have wines, all different prices. You'll find like $15, $20 bottles of wine. You'll find $100 bottles of wine. And you can just search good wines. You know, they're all good wines because the only wines that make it on the list, right? 1 in 18. So to get the cut, to make it to Wine Access, it's like making it to the NFL. Like, you can be a really good college player, but you still got to make it through training camp. Then you got to make the final 53, and then you got to be active on game day. It's very, very difficult. That's what it's like to be a wine on Wine Access. You've basically made to like October in the NFL, and you're playing. I mentioned this one a month or two ago. The last box we got, maybe a month ago, the Two Angels Petite Syrah, Red Hills, Lake County, fantastic. It gives all of Napa a run for its money, John. I think I just looked at it. It's like $27. What is it? No, $25. But that's just one. There's a million. You can go to the website. It's easy. If you're watching YouTube, there's a bunch of different ways I'm showing that you can search. $50 off your first order of $150 or more. By the way, here's a little hack, little life hack. Shipping's included when you buy 6 or more bottles. Oh. Shipping's included when you buy 6 or more bottles. So I highly recommend that. And you get $50 off $150. So it's
It's fantastic. And you can shop by variety, by type, by country, by region, by food pairings. Every bottle comes with a little thing that tells you exactly what it goes great with, and it actually on the website tells you, like, here's the qualities of it, here's what it's good with. And that particular Two Angels Petite Sirah is really good with red meat and cheese, which is basically my diet. So wineaccess.com/ham. I would say start there because there's a lot. So I would say go get the 6 bottles, spend $150, get $50 off. Just my Haberman sommelier Haberman, sommelier behave, Haby sommelier, the Two Angels Petite Sirah. That would be one recommendation.
Wineaccess.com/ham.
Wineaccess.com/ham. Podcast also brought to you by It's back. Decked. Decked.com.
Take notice, potential advertisers. They always come back.
This is now, John, this is a product. Decked.com/ham. Get free shipping. The Decked drawer system for your truck. You love your truck. Protect the stuff that you put in the back of your truck as you use your truck with Decked.com/ham.
Yep. The Decked drawer system keeps your gear secure. If your tailgate is locked, you can't open the drawers and you can't remove the system. The drawers is 100% American made. And remember, we talked to the people that run the company. 100% money back warranty up to 3 years, but they've never turned anyone down. So if you've ever had an issue, they fix it. We've talked when they also mentioned that, for tailgates, obviously if you want to put a 4-wheeler up to 2,000 pound ability carry load on top, but if you want to put some brewskis, maybe a little Tito's in one of the tailgates to go hang out with some buddies, boom, some ice, bring out the brewskis.
The Deck drawer system is weatherproof, protects and secures all your stuff from Mother Nature. Who can be a real mother? Like John said, it is a lifetime, no-hassle warranty, second to none customer service. We can vouch because we talk to them. They keep the gear secure. If your tailgate's locked, like John said, you can't open the drawers. So protect your stuff like so many people who listen have, the video ended and now it's suggesting a Kyle Shanahan YouTube. So protect your stuff. Go to deck.com to check out the Decked drawer system /ham, deck.com/ham. Get free shipping. That's deck.com/ham for the Decked drawer system, deck.com/ham. Your truck bed's about to get a whole lot better, baby.
Do it.
All right, Kyle Shanahan. Has he lost his magic, John? The conversations that we have with Niner people through text, not Niner people, the conversations we have about the Niners, you and I, we're on some group chats where we get these in the text messages. We see them in the comments. We see them in the replies to some of our social stuff. We see them on YouTube. Kyle Shanahan, right? Has he dramatically changed? He's been an offensive guru for so many years. Did something suddenly change? What's going on with this offense right now?
I just think you saw this yesterday with Lincoln Riley. You can be a really good coach and do dumb things. He is stuck with Spencer Rattler because that was his incumbent starter, when it was clear Spencer Rattler wasn't a very good quarterback. They bring in the 5-star guy that the fans were chanting for. I often think that the media loves doing this, and this is where I have nothing in common with the profession, love shitting on the fans like they're the village idiots. They chanted for Caleb, I don't know, because they had seen Kyler Murray, they had seen Baker Mayfield, and they'd seen Jalen Hurts. They're an educated group. They know what a good quarterback looks like.
What about when the fans chanted for David Carr?
But yeah, that happens when you suck really bad.
Well, okay.
And Alex Smith was not very good at the time. Like, obviously you chant for the backup when the starter sucks. But in that situation, they just wanted something different. It's the fans sometimes go, that was a terrible play call. And I think naturally coaches go, what does that fucking guy know? And the media's like, the coaches know it all. Well, it was a terrible play call. He had several terrible play calls today. He's been pretty bad this year calling offensive plays. Now, is Tom Brady, Patrick Mahomes' quarterback? Would it be much easier to call plays with those guys? Of course. Could he have had both of them? Yes. But that's a whole nother conversation. He's not coaching very well this year. That doesn't mean he's not a really good offensive coach. That doesn't mean that if he was fired tomorrow, teams would line up to hire him. That doesn't mean he's an idiot now.
It doesn't mean he's about to get fired.
No, he's not. But you can go through a rough stretch. We've all gone through rough stretches in our lives. After you can go from doing well to doing poorly to doing well. You don't become an idiot overnight. When Andy Reid, my last year in Philly, went 4-12, didn't mean he was an idiot or just some things went wrong. Like, some things are getting kind of weird, and his coaching, I'm a big believer in like there's an instinct with an offensive coordinator. I think with defense, you obviously have educated guesses because it's a reactionary position, based on down and distances, their history of play calls, like what they like to do on second and short to what they like to do on third and long. It's a lot of educated guesses, and I think it's very predicated on having some good Jimmies and the Joes. Like a lot, there haven't been many great. Like, how did Belichick become a legend? LT and Parcells. How did Buddy Ryan and the '85 Bears defense? I don't know. They had like 4 Hall of Famers. What about
Phil Jackson?
Yeah, it's like you usually
he
need
got
really
Michael Jordan to play like a champion.
But you would agree that offensive coaches, a lot of them have become famous when they can do sweet shit schematically. And it feels like their feel for play calling on a given day, on a given season, on a given several game stretch, they have a natural feel for it. And Kyle always did. And it feels like this season, there's no rhyme or reason to any of his play calls. And it might just be as simple as his quarterbacks are playing really poorly. But I've seen him with poor quarterbacks execute a lot of cool plays. And just consistency of like, whoa, you move bob and left, bob and right. It's like Wilder looking for Chubby Fury's, rights and lefts. And right now, every single play feels like its own entity. Like do you agree with that? Like every single play, it's like, we're just see what we got.
I think he's really searching for a rhythm, and you need things to work in succession for there to be a rhythm.
Well, in his offense specifically, because so many things are boots and nakeds and waggles, right?
Nudes.
Which is scary. He's always been very run game oriented.
An offense in rhythm is obvious, and an offense not in rhythm is obvious. And there's some weird stuff going on because you're right. He's looked in rhythm before with Nick Mullins. Like, I've seen that. I've seen him in rhythm with Nick Mullins.
Didn't CJ Beathard beat these guys last year?
I've seen him in rhythm, not as much, but in rhythm with CJ Beathard.
He's had drives.
We keep going back to injuries. That's a factor. Offensive line at times factor. No Mostert's definitely a factor, right? I mean, Elijah Mitchell has some, like, you can kind of feel some rhythm with the way they use Elijah Mitchell.
Kid can play.
I felt it with him.
Kid can play.
There's not a clear hierarchy right now in terms of the receivers after Debo. Like, it's Travis Benjamin.
What was that?
Sanu. It's Ayuk. Ayuk seems to like earn his way onto the field late. Ayuk always makes a play late. Like, all right, he returned 3 punts without whining. Let's get him the football. And the play he made late was fantastic. But I don't know if receivers get hot.
You see what Hines on the Colts said today about punt returns? He said, ever since I was in high school, every time I go back to return a punt, I tell myself I'm not going to live.
Yeah. Like, you have to not care about your life to return punt.
I tell myself I don't care about my life before it's like, that's what Ayuk's willing to do that. So it's not a toughness thing with Ayuk.
I don't know what it is, but they do not have the same, quote unquote, the same lineup all the time.
Isn't that on Kyle though? Like, clearly Ayuk. Here's the thing that's not arguable is Ayuk's talent is immense.
I don't know what the deal is with him, but if we're going to talk about the play calling first, they are not they don't have the same guys out there all the time, which hurts the rhythm. Jimmy, I think, hurts the rhythm. And clearly with Trey, I think it's going to take Kyle some time to get in a rhythm with Trey Lance. Like, that's the other part of let's see him play Trey Lance so that Kyle can get in a rhythm with it, right? Trey's got to learn the offense. Part of the job, we always say this about coaches he doesn't shove a square peg into a round hole. What that means is you're learning the player. That's what that means. How do I help this guy? It's not all conceptual. It's not all what you can draw up on the jet on the way back from the pro day. It's also about let's put him on the field. Let's see what happens. And let's take some stuff out. Let's put some stuff in. And I think that's part of it too with him. He's got to learn. Like, if Trey Lance is going to get better, guess who's going to get better calling plays for Trey Lance? Kyle Shanahan, in theory.
But here'd be some questions. They've now had Ayuk for 18 months on their team. He clearly can haul ass, and he can make plays with the ball in his hands. Why not give him an end around? Why not give him a quick screen? Why don't they? Why do they like?
Well, how about the touchdown? You're talking about Ayuk. Sorry. Unless
it comes out, which I have not heard this, but this is the only thing I can guess. Is Ayuk just being an asshole in the building? Like, is he driving Kyle nuts with showing up late or something? Because if that is not the case, it's inexcusable what's going on with him right now. Because now we've seen back-to-back or like 3 weeks, he's made critical plays, and then today he makes a big play kind of out of nothing. He is one of on your team that is struggling, and the margins are tiny against these really good teams. You're desperate for a win. How are you not utilizing one of your more talented players?
Yeah, is he dropping the ball in practice a ton? That'd
Who
be the other
gives a
thing.
fuck at this point in time, though?
Well, I'm just saying that would be an explanation that I go, oh, okay, I understand that. Like I could comprehend that
I
explanation.
kind of could, but then in the game,
You might disagree with it, but I would understand it.
To me, that one
You wouldn't
would be a
like
tough
it,
one
but
for
like
me.
in the history of time, guys who don't make plays don't get on the field in practice, right? Like,
Yeah,
that's
but not a guy
abnormal.
that's kind of proven himself as he did last year.
I
It'd be
agree.
a pretty
But to me,
bad
that if
fall
I
from
told you
grace.
that's what happens, is like he's just been really bad in practice. You'd be like, all right, he should play because he's Brandon Ayuk. But at least that's an explanation I can understand. You'd be able to comprehend that.
Well, what I would be able to comprehend more is like, his effort in practice has been really shitty.
Yes, well, that would be an easy thing. Yeah, that's also easy to comprehend.
Because they're so desperate right now, how would they? And it kind of feels like as the game goes, like you said, they realize I'll put 11 in the game. Like,
Yeah, and
how
look,
about you
if
just
it's
put it in
that,
from the jump.
if it's that, like, well, maybe we can help him be a better practice player by getting him going in games a little bit. Now, you don't want to do that necessarily, but if that's what works, that's what works. Now, again, we're just making things up here. We don't know
because everyone's kind of at a loss on that one. I would say that's one of the bigger head scratchers to anyone that's watched this team, right?
I'll tell you, yes. I would say it's the number one head scratcher because we've seen Ayuk be sweet. And then you watch the offense not be dynamic and you go, God, if only you had a dynamic guy like Brandon Ayuk. I'll tell you, I know people are getting mad about running the quarterback on fourth down, like behind the center. Be like, oh, God, whoa, that play didn't work. I fully expected that to be the play on 4th and 1 at the end of the game when they did the use check sneak. And I was in advance okay with the play. Because at least it's logical. At least it's logical on 4th and 1 to run the quarterback wherever, but behind the center or behind the guard or wherever you're going to run them. It's perfectly logical when you think about the explanation for why you run the quarterback. What's the explanation for why you run the quarterback? You have one more guy.
You're saying a called quarterback run?
Yeah, it's a math problem.
Yeah.
Right? That's when people say like, well, what does the quarterback run game do for you? It's a math problem, right? You have one more guy to block as opposed
because usually that guy hands it off, he doesn't do anything.
Yeah, there's only 10 guys involved in that play. When the quarterback runs, there's 11 guys involved in that play. So to me, that 4th and 1 made complete sense from a math standpoint. If they had run Trey right up Alex Mack's ass and they got stuffed, I'd go, it's 4th and 1 at midfield, game on the line. Our strong guys got to be able to push their strong guys. And we got a big ass quarterback here. Maybe he can leap and put his football over the first down line, right? Then Juszczyk gets underneath there. A play that they clearly knew was coming because everybody crowded around the nose tackle. And it's not a math problem anymore because you got Trey and the running back there not doing anything. I hated that play. Easy to hate the play after the fact. I'll just tell you my take before the play was run Trey up the middle. If you get stuffed, you get stuffed. But 4th and 1 in the NFL, sometimes you outsmart them. Sometimes you just got to go earn it. And that was a moment to go earn it.
Well, this is back to what I'm saying about Kyle. He clearly has proven over the years he knows what he's doing as an offensive play caller in the National Football League. And part of doing that, I got Andy Reid on my back on the TV going right now. If you go into any of these offensive coaches, the one thing cool about working in a football office, if you win, well, you lost, it sucks. But if you win, by like Tuesday and Wednesday, before, I guess, by Wednesday the players are there, but like by Tuesday afternoon, they have watched all the film on the opponent, and on the whiteboards are fucking plays all over the place. I mean, ideas are flying, different looks. It's where the genius is created, and then the players come, and then you hone it in. But I would imagine a large percentage of sweet plays over the years have at least started in the minds of these offensive guys on Monday or Tuesday in the film room, then with a pen on a whiteboard. And then at practice, they kind of finagle it to kind of figure it out exactly. And I would imagine, and who knows, that I'm not saying that it always happens that week. It might have happened last year and they never utilized it, right? It could have happened in training camp. It could have been a McDaniel offseason idea when he's fucking having cocktails, on his vacation. I don't know exactly. It didn't have to get, input into the offense this week. I'd be shocked though if that play wasn't an offensive coaches meeting and they're bullshitting creatively and they developed that. And a lot of times that happens. And it works sometimes. And this goes back to Kyle having an off year. it feels like since Kyle's been here, even on his bad teams, they were always doing creative things that worked. And then on the good teams, it really worked. Those type plays, that shit when Kyle's on works. I'm not saying that exact play, but you know what I mean. That concept of doing, it was clearly unique. I don't know if I've ever quite seen that. The fullback come in motion, but he's going extra fast, goes right under the center. Like that in the meeting, on the whiteboard, inside the office was probably like, this is going to be sweet. The problem is you got to go, it wasn't just 6 inches. It was probably more like 1.5 yards. And clearly both linebackers realized, well, he's not going to pitch it to Trey Lance. Or maybe, I guess he could have. Maybe that's the next iteration off that play. Like Juszczyk operates as a quarterback, pitches to Trey Lance, then maybe you get a throw off it. If you're listening, Kyle, implement that. But the two linebackers and everyone at the line of scrimmage assumed that Kyle was just going to operate it like Tom Brady, right? Quarterback sneak it. There's nothing he could do. Like Kyle, you can't break 7 tackles at the line of scrimmage. So that to me speaks to Kyle Shanahan, his mojo being off. Because that play, the moment it happened, you immediately texted me like you hated that. I got 17 texts like, what the fuck was that? It never had a chance. But it wasn't just a never had a chance. It was like a curveball, right? It was a unique play. It wasn't just some basic fullback wham play, right? It was kind of cool in theory. But again, guy, these offensive guys, they think it was cool, and then it doesn't work, and it's an embarrassment.
I just don't even quite understand what made that play cool other than you never see. Like, what was, at the end of the day, what was different about the play? The person was different, but the play was the play. Yeah,
it was terrible. Again, it speaks back to Kyle is off. You can be a really good coach and just be off. Like, to me, you can't. There is no way you could argue, like, yeah, he's normal Kyle. Because that play was atrocious.
This, to me, I'm showing on YouTube. You made me think of this because I remember tweeting about this play a couple of years ago.
Is it Arkansas?
It's Arkansas. This is 2019. A push pass from the punter that gets intercepted. And this was one that, like, on paper, looked great. We're going to jump shoot the ball to the guy coming in jet motion. And it was a disaster. And yeah,
but here's the thing, though.
But they knew that one was coming, John.
Who did?
The Cardinals defense. They knew exactly what was about to happen.
Well, just like Auburn, 31 didn't bite. He was waiting for it. So even if it went to the player in red, he would have tackled him right there. But I bet in practice, Auburn on their scout team, in their special teams, no different than potentially Juszczyk. And who knows? Maybe they didn't run that play this week in practice. Maybe they ran it mid-August. It worked. So you just have it in your back pocket. And in a game when you're struggling on 4th down, you're 1 of 5, and you have been stopped several times, you kind of are searching for something. Like, they had to feel pretty confident about that when they called it, clearly.
If you had shown me the play, hit pause and said, how do you feel about this? I would. Again, I know I'm saying this after the fact, but as it was happening, was going, no. Because, again, it is like you are giving up the one advantage that everyone says you have when you run the quarterback. I'm not saying you have to run the quarterback all the time. I'm just saying on 4th and a long one. That was the other thing. It was a long one. And Juszczyk, I thought Juszczyk had a really good game. This is not about him.
Well, nothing he could have done. I mean, there were 17 guys right there. It would have been the greatest first down in NFL history if he would have thrown off a tackler, broke through J.J. Watt, and ran into Collins and leaped the ball over. Like, he had nowhere to go. I just think Kyle's just off. Sometimes you're just off. I've been off. Have you ever just been off? You just feel off?
Oh, yeah. I was off 2 weeks ago.
It happens. You're just off. And you just gotta, sometimes I don't even know what it is. Maybe just a good night's sleep. Maybe the bye would be good for him.
Yeah, sometimes you gotta get lucky. Sometimes a few plays just have to be made, and that helps everybody get things going. Sometimes you call a good play that doesn't work. Sometimes you call a bad play that does work. But that's when, it's the old, somebody's got to step up and make a play. I'm not just talking about football. I'm just saying some things got to work. Like, if they had won the game, if they had beaten the Cardinals somehow, some way in the end, some crazy stuff happens, pick 6, whatever, they win the game. Maybe that would be a thing that gets them going. It's like, we were not good today, and we won a game we shouldn't have won. Right? I mean, that Packer game.
Well, when they had the ball and down 10-7, you had the ball at midfield, I was like, they could win this game, and they did not deserve to win it, right?
Right.
And
now,
then
they also could have won the Packer game and didn't deserve to win it. So that's part of the problem too. Like the result isn't always the thing that tells the story of the game.
No.
But
I think the healthy thing is sometimes like if the Niners would have won this game, I think our conversations would have been pretty similar. Because I got a text today. Someone was like, I think if the Niners win this game, it'll just Band-Aid everything that needs to be said. I'm like, I think people are pretty alarmed with what they're saying. If they would have pulled this game out of their ass, I think the conversation would have been like, keep the quarterback. He's got a long way to go. Kyle, you need to like maybe take next week off, Kyle. Just go to fucking Cabo again.
Cabo, not again.
But just clear your head. I don't know.
The one area where I disagree
away.
on the Band-Aid is that they would have beaten a divisional opponent who was the last of the
No.
team in the
When
league.
I say Band-Aid, I think sometimes a Band-Aid's a team for looking at their problems. I do not think that would have been the case, though, with the Niners, with the fan base. People would have been relieved of a win, but I think a lot of people wouldn't have been acting like they're the 2019 Kansas City Chiefs or something.
Yeah,
right?
and I doubt it would have changed anything for them, other than maybe
it wouldn't have. It just would have been like, holy shit, thank God.
I would not go to Cabo.
Just go San Diego.
They lose a quarterback every time he goes to
Just go somewhere. He just needs to get away because he's off, and he's really off. And he, Bosa, Trent Williams, Kittle, in theory, one day, hopefully, Lance. He has to be one of their biggest assets. Kyle Shanahan. When Kyle Shanahan is not game in, game out going, he's one of the reasons the Niners kick ass and take names.
Yeah.
That's a problem.
Yeah, I mean, I think the gap between kind of off and really off is very small. And I don't think it takes much to get them going. I think the hard thing is going to be maintaining it because they have so many inconsistencies in their lineup right now, with their health right now, with the performance of their offensive line right now, and with whichever quarterback they have is also going to battle inconsistency. And I think that's part of this.
But you saw today, like, even Arizona is a good example, and it made me realize, like, guys go down at a high rate in just games. Like, they lost, Simmons KO'd for a little while. Rodney Hudson, boom, out. Like, you just lose guys.
I'm just saying.
The 87, who's a pretty good player, that tight end, knee blown, probably out for the season.
No
right?
doubt. My point is just I think they're – the Max Williams play. I think they're –
How bad did that –
by the
way,
way,
tell, like that
and
terrible.
I hate to say this because you love guys that play like that, but it just goes back to the get your 8 yards and live to play another play.
I refused when the crowd when they clearly showed the replay and then Fox went to the other replay. I turned my head. I'm like, you know what? John Middlecoff refuses. I just went third person to do anymore. And I used to be addicted to this. Like I was just locked into the replay. I wanted to see it. I refuse. I do not need that.
I just need one's enough for me. Now, when it happened and you missed it, you're like, show the replay. What happened? But
I don't think it was that bad. It's not like his leg was snapped, but
yeah, I didn't need to see it. Just the same way I didn't need to see Devontae Adams' eyes from like 8 inches away when he was lying on the field. Turned out to be fine, thankfully. Turned out to be fine, but
he's pretty good, by the way.
I think they got Devontae. Yeah, I feel like every Packer game involves something sweet from Rodgers, and then Rodgers just standing there with a towel waiting for some kicker to make or miss a kick.
I have a
Nothing
lot
like
of
hitting the flag that flies above the upright and celebrating like you made it, and then finding out you missed it. That sucks.
I have a lot of respect, and we'll see what you do as your career as you age, but a lot of men that you see, if you're listening to this, if you're younger, if you're in your 20s, you don't even think about gray hairs. But as guys age, and I see this on my chin, I have a couple on the side of my head, but not many. Maybe I'd have more if I had a full head of hair. You just get gray hairs. Mason Crosby accelerated, right? I think he turns into what a lot of guys turn in like their 50s. Just happened early.
He looks like he might have been a premature gray guy from looking at him.
Yeah, 100%. It feels like he's been gray for a while. But I respect the shit out of him. Just like, I'm a gray guy, whatever. I have a full head of hair. It actually looks pretty good.
Yeah.
Mainly because he has a really good head of hair. But he doesn't color. Like Gabe Kapler, for example, is clearly dyes everything, which I don't hate. Like, I mean, that's do you. I mean, a lot of guys do it. But I respect Mason's just ability to just go full on. He's 37 years old, guy. He just turned 37.
Yeah,
too.
so
he's not even that old.
No, he's grayer than most people are at 37.
I was going to assume, and I typed in his name, it was going to say he's like 43. He's an older kicker.
Yeah.
37.
Younger than I would have thought.
He's
only
basically
only 2 years older than not Brandon Webb.
Logan Webb.
Maybe that's who I've been thinking of this whole time.
Maybe that's what threw me off,
Rockland, the
too.
pride of Rockland. Turns out he was in college 6 years ago. Yeah, at this point, John, plans are to stay with whatever's natural. But you never know. Like if I'm hosting like a TikTok's next star, I might have to, you know.
But you don't really have
Yeah,
any
no.
gray hairs.
No, they happen on the sides and they happen in my chest.
So you're good right now.
Yeah, unless hosting a beach party show, but I doubt that's going to happen.
Yeah, but I mean, it's a little silver fox on the chest, not a terrible
one. The one thing, if there's anything that happened, like the Seahawks mallet finger for Russ is what now? Was this a 4 to 8 weeks? Like, is this going to be a 4 to 8 weeks like Carson's 4 to 8 weeks where Carson was just back?
Does feel like he's on the Tom Brady / Barry Bonds. Like I saw someone's like, he's a fast healer. Like, yeah, I expect him to
Why
be a
was
fast
he in a
healer too.
wheelchair?
With the hat and sunglasses on.
Yeah, I've heard that Russ at his own golf tournament, like Russ has a golf tournament at a private club where the only people in are the people that were invited, and he still rolls with like 5 security guards.
So he invites, like you get an individual invite to Russell Wilson. So it'd be like, Haberman's birthday party. You're having 20 people over. Yet
Closed
when
event.
us 20 people show up, closed event, only those 20 people are allowed. Yeah. You still are somewhat secluded.
Rolls with security guards in the invite-only golf tournament.
I do wonder when you get that famous and that addicted to the greatness thing, you can get a little warped in your mind.
Yeah, Sierra. I think the relationship has changed things maybe.
Can I give him credit on one thing though? Thursday night, and obviously there's a lot of adrenaline going. Anyone who's ever had the stubbed finger basketball, when someone throws you a pass,
I retired for a year after it.
That hurts. Anyone that's ever broken a toe, that pain, the toe and the finger pain is relatable to every person. It hurts like a you-know-what. You can say whatever you want about Russell being cheesy, being a weirdo with the security guards, with private parties, just being a weird dude. His toughness, you can't ever argue. He had never missed a game in his NFL career. I think the weird part about that game on Thursday night was like, he looks fine. Yeah. But I bet he was in a lot of pain.
Yeah, I'm so with you. Oh, I mean, an incredible competitor.
And also you get
such
what matters
incredible in our world.
And they got spoiled. Like, what if now he misses a month and a half?
Yeah, then they're done. They're done.
But they still at 2-3 with the win over the Niners. The Niners are in last place right now.
Yeah, right? but I think if Russell misses 8 weeks, I'm trying to share something different. If Russell misses 8 weeks, then they're done. Don't you think?
Oh, if he has to miss 5 games, I think they'll lose all 5 games. Is this the NFC standings?
Yeah, these are the NFC standings we got here. Cardinals 5-0, Cowboys 4-1, Bucks 4-1, Packers 4-1, Rams 4-1, Bears 3-2, Panthers, Saints also 3-2. Your 2-3 teams are football team, Vikings, Eagles, Seahawks, Niners, Falcons.
Jeez.
So, I do think there's a little. Russ is a thrill to watch, like what you were saying about Mahomes a while back. Love watching him. But I do think the Niners catch a little bit of a break there, a big break there, potentially. Now, they still got to win their games.
Yeah, I think one break they don't catch. Now, Arizona might just win this division, as crazy as that sounds. Still a long way to go. They play Seattle week 18, so I'd assume he's back unless they be resting him by then. I think they also catch him the last weekend in November, so potentially they're going to see him both times.
You're talking about Arizona's going to see him.
I'm talking about Arizona, yeah. And obviously the Rams got him, saw him once and lost. Won.
John, before we go on, let's tell the people, RexMD.com. Should Viagra really cost $90? I don't think so. They don't think so. At RexMD.com, they have FDA-approved generic Viagra starting at just $2 per tablet, delivered discreetly to your door.
RexMD.com has FDA generic Viagra starting at just $2 per tablet.
Yeah,
$2 per tablet. RexMD.com has helped over 100,000 men. A lot of men. This happens to people. And listen, us guys, we're not, historically not the most sensitive bunch. Struggle with talking about our feelings. Struggle with talking about our issues. We want to be discreet with this stuff. That's where RexMD comes in. You never have to go to a doctor. You never have to go to a hospital. It's all online. There's no copay, so it's cheap. If you're looking for generic Viagra, and listen, we got different problems as men. You don't have to tell anybody. You never have to tell Guy. You never have to tell me. We'll never know. Just go to RexMD.com/ham to get yourself some Viagra. $2 a pill. No big deal.
No big deal. Exactly
Sex
right.
is fun. We want you to have it and enjoy
The only
it.
big deal is the deal.
Yeah.
Don't wait another minute. RexMD.com/ham. That's RexMD.com/ham. RexMD.com/ham. We didn't. DraftKings was not a sponsor this last week, but I just got a Brian Telly. Looks like finished in first place in our DraftKings game this week. Congrats to Brian. Is this the guy? Did he just tweet at us? I don't see
know.
his team name, but $337.50 on a $10 entry. Congrats to him. I'd say that's pretty good.
Not a bad little ROI there, Brian.
Top 10 made cash, but Brian Telly, congrats to you. He won by 0.3 of a point.
Do you ever try to double dip?
Meaning?
Draft your quarterback and then also draft one of his wide receivers? Or do you avoid that
all
strategy?
The time. No, I do that. Sometimes I'll go quarterback, 2 receivers.
I think that's just you do basically put all your chips in the middle.
I think it's a tried and true like draft daily fantasy strategy. Yeah.
And when it works, it really works. Right?
I've never brought it up because last year it was always for me like several weeks I'd do Russ, DK, Tyler Lockett.
I need to do that more often.
Tom and Mike Evans.
Because sometimes if you go Cousins and Thielen, but Jefferson has the good game. Like if you pick one of the two and you get the wrong one, you're always pissed off. Now it's not like Cousins was very good. You should, just take Tom. Tom throws 4 or 5 touchdowns every single game. Threw 5 touchdowns today. 5. He got 15.
He threw his 4th, and then I looked up. He was throwing his 5th. I couldn't believe how fast it happened.
Antonio, I don't know if he's quite Pittsburgh Steeler Antonio, but he's definitely not scrub Raider Antonio. Not that he was a scrub with the Raiders because he never played a game. Didn't make it to week 1.
Frozen foot Antonio?
Yeah, but he's pretty good. Like, he's definitely pretty productive for them. Catches touchdowns. Is Tom going to throw 58 touchdowns this season?
Well, what does he have? What's his total right now?
He's got 15.
Yeah,
what's their
15?
record? 4-1?
That's what this says, but am I missing a game here? Or
Yeah, no, they're 4-1.
Okay.
They haven't had a bye or anything. So he's got 12 more games.
He's got 15 through 5. Is that what we just said?
Yeah.
So 3 a game. So that's going to end up at what, 56?
3 times 12? Yeah. No, 3 times 12 is 36. So
yeah, but what's the total?
Plus 15, that'd be 51.
Okay.
That'd be pretty good, though. Throw 51 touchdowns at 44 years old? I mean, what are we doing? You see Montana's like, yeah, I think he can play till 60. I just saw a headline the other day. Well, and as funny as that is, like, well, if you just said 50 right now, you would not sound like an idiot. If they go 13-3 and he throws 50 touchdowns, he'd have a very, very good chance to win the MVP, wouldn't he? Like, part of the reason Rodgers won it last year is he had 8 more touchdowns than the next guy.
Well, is Kyler hurt?
Well, clearly it's kind of fucked up, his arm. He looked a little weird today, didn't he? Like after they hit him.
You know who did a great job on him? Not to go back. I mean, we got some other stuff to talk about here NFL-wise, but the play that Talanoa Hufanga made on him on a 3rd down where I was like, he's about to get shook. And he just stayed in front of him and, didn't try to steal the football, just walled him off. I was really impressive.
You know the coaching point? If you and I if we ever wanted to transition into NFL coaching defense, front 7, really the entire 11, is if you're gonna go full speed at the running quarterbacks, you have to about 4 or 5 yards before you get to them come to a stop, because if you go full speed, they use that against you. It's the easiest move for them, right? The little 360 or the little juke, and you go flying by, and you're like, oh my god, I was gonna destroy the guy. Hufanga. Even D Ford was kind of going there too. They just kind of don't pump the brakes, but just take your foot off the gas. And then it freaks him out because you're kind of at a standstill with him. So it's like he goes left, you go left, right? You can just kind of mirror him. To me, that's the number one key with these running quarterbacks is you can't go full speed because they then become like the bull guys when the bull's coming at them and they use a little move to get right out of the way.
Ole.
The ole.
Gabe on YouTube says, "Come on, John, I need some Raider therapy." That's a radio reference from John's Raider post-game days.
I thought they were just shoved around. Like the Bears, every time I looked up, it just felt like the Bears were physically manhandling them. And it's not like the Bears had 30 points. I mean, the score of most of the game was like 14-3. Right?
Yeah, it was close.
They had no offense.
No. They threw for 206, no touchdowns. Waller had 4 for 45. Edwards, I saw, had a drop, 2 for 22.
You got the box score up right now?
Yeah, what do you want to know?
How many yards Fields throw for?
It was not good on paper, John. 12 for 20, 111.
How many yards they rush for?
They
Damian
ran
Williams,
for
is that their running back?
143. Yeah.
Who's their leading rusher?
Williams had 64 yards. K. Herbert. Is that Khalil Herbert, I think? Had 18 for 75.
Who's Khalil Herbert? What school do you go to?
Khalil Herbert went to he's from Fort Lauderdale. He went to Kansas and Virginia Tech.
I swear to God, I have
sixth rounder in this year's draft.
He's no Elijah Mitchell.
Oh, no. 6th round. Oh, he must have opted out. No, maybe he played 2020 at Virginia Tech.
Khalil had a big sack on Derek on like a 2-point conversion.
Jackson on YouTube, by the way, just says the intro to this music, the podcast music is on Sunday Night Football. Why didn't I know this? What did they just use on Sunday Night Football? They use like the new intro or the old intro? Jackson?
I don't even know what he's talking about.
He said the intro music to this podcast, like our music, is on Sunday Night Football. Did Sunday Night Football just play? If they played Sledgehammer by Peter Gabriel, which is the old one, that's fine. I mean, it's all fine. But did they play the new intro?
Well, if they did play the new intro, our guy who gave us that deserves to profit heavily. We need to go after NBC.
Yeah, we got to get some answers because I think it's a sample, like a free sample, a licensed free sample out there that he made, which he gets credit. But I don't think it's like built from the ground up.
You don't think he created it from scratch? The guy that gave it to us?
I don't think it's created from scratch because we also heard it on a Bryce Doherty is his name, Bonafide, his DJ name, because it was also, remember, on like an Instagram sausage ad. Remember that?
Not really.
It was on an Instagram sausage ad, and
Evergood?
No, not Evergood. Something else. And I sent him a note. I'm like, "Hey man, you do this?" He's like, "Oh yeah, that's the sample. Theirs is a little different. Don't worry, it's you guys aren't infringing any." So we could, maybe he hears this and
you're just saying it's out there and people can use it. And
yeah. Now he did a few things. He like you can play with it.
Made some tweaks.
Created
a player. Gave him a little extra
Let me know when it happened. I want to go back and listen. Lions, John. I think we should, just out of respect for the Lions, give a quick peek at the Lions schedule. These guys deserve a win. I hope they get it. It's one of the more heartbreaking teams I've ever witnessed. I was watching that game, Lions-Vikings, as most people were, because it was on Red Zone. And they forced a fumble late, scored a touchdown, took the lead. It was like, finally, the heavens have opened. And then the Vikings, I don't know, you saw that last drive. I did not until the field goal. The Vikings beat them. They have the 2 of their last 3 games, they've lost 19-17.
To me, 2 of the last 3, to lose on a 66-yard field goal from Justin Tucker that hit the upright is an all-timer. Today, to take the lead on that fumble with 37 seconds left, I would say a lot of times when a team gets the ball back with 37 seconds left, if you just say that, the team gets the ball back down 2 points or down 1 point with 37 seconds left, if you had to guess how many timeouts would they have, I would say at the highest, I would say 1. I would say most likely they might not have a timeout. Vikings had 2 timeouts. So it did enable them. Like, they do have 2 sweet wide receivers. Cousins hit multiple big gainers to Thielen, and they got in field goal range. And the irony is the Vikings have missed a ton of field goals. Feels like the last 5 years, and the fucker hit a 55-yarder that Dan Campbell is legitimately tears, guy. He's wiping away tears. And honestly, it wasn't like someone I saw on Twitter like making fun of him. I do not think it's something you make fun of him. He has to feel like we are playing it on the line. we're on the road against a road team. We almost just beat Baltimore. What the fuck do I have to do to get a win? They're by no means the laughing stock of the league.
No, the Jags are that. But I have bad news.
You see the player hit him in the ass?
The opposing player?
No, they got like a 4th down stop, and one of the players on the team, it's hard to tell who it was. Like Urban was given a fist bump or something, and the guy came up from behind and gave him a huge hit on the ass, like fired up, but also kind of a mocking hit on the ass, Hard to tell.
I have bad news, though, which is that the Bengals are probably going to beat the Lions on a field goal next week. Because the Bengals deserve that, too.
I think the Bengals...
Watch it. Jamar Chase is very watchable.
Well, who's covering Jamar Chase when the 49ers play them?
Josh Norman.
If the 49ers, they play a game at Cincy, I do not feel as good about that game.
Well, the Bengals will have the better quarterback that day, in all likelihood.
Well, if Burrow's playing, they have the better quarterback regardless. Yeah. This is where I get back to.
Jamar Chase is catching the football.
This is where, I get back to, Guy. Is the 49ers' point of difference, a huge point of difference for them, was supposed to be their head coach. Like, every game they went, you got Kyle Shanahan. And so far, it just feels like that he's not giving them a separating factor, which I think a lot of people are just wondering what is going on.
Yeah. I mean, but players matter too, right? Like Cliff Kingsbury beat Sean McVay this year.
He's got a good team.
Taylor's team is, Zach Taylor's team was almost 4-1 today if they had won that game.
Yeah, they would have been. They had the same record. They were both 3-1 in that game. It was a battle of 3-1 teams.
Steelers was our lock of the week, John. I have not taken an early look at next week, but we have now won 3 games in a row on our lock of the week. Is that right? We lost the Lions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
We've won 3. We're feeling pretty good.
So, Teddy on the road. Texans could not beat Belichick. No, that was another headline of the day. What was Davis Mills? Do you know Davis Mills?
They couldn't, but they covered.
They covered. Yeah. Sorry, I was moving on from locks and just because that line was what, 9, 10?
I think it was 9.
Davis Mills today, 21 of 29, 312, 3 touchdowns, no picks.
That's a pretty good line. Did you know he played that well?
I did not know he played that well.
I didn't know he threw 3 touchdowns. That's pretty impressive.
Well, I saw the one to Moore that was like 67 yards.
Do you know the game that was, to me, the craziest outcome of the day is I didn't see much of this game, if at any, but it was 15-6 in like the 4th quarter. Panthers beating the Eagles. I'm just like, Sirianni, they're just going to lose and they'll be 1-4. All of a sudden, I look up, Jalen's running in a touchdown.
I know. And
then he does the Cam Newton Superman, and I look at the score, I'm like, they just took the lead 19-18, and then they go for 2 and they win 21-18. It's got to be one of the bigger upsets. What was that line on that game? 7 or something? Was it just 3 or 4? I don't even remember. But
I think it was 3.5.
Maybe you're right. Yeah, maybe it was.
I think it was 3.5. The Browns-Charger game. That'll probably be the first Game Pass game Monday morning. Herbert 398, 4 touchdowns, no picks. Mayfield 305, 2 touchdowns, no picks.
Did the running backs for the Browns go off?
Well, yeah, Chubb had 161, and then Hunt scored 2 touchdowns.
Their production running the ball is just outrageous. Jameis, you see Jameis's Hail Mary at the end of the half?
I did.
That was pretty sweet. Jameis threw 4 touchdowns today.
What was
that? You want to hear Jameis's line?
Yeah.
15 of 30. 10 yards to throw, 280 yards, 4 touchdowns. He did have a terrible pick. But 4 touchdowns is, now granted, again, one of them is a Hail Mary at halftime. That's just the perfect located Hail Mary. His guy jumps, it hits him right in the chest. All the other guys are up. But he had a good game. I mean, 4 touchdowns. They won 33-22. Like, they're 3-2.
Mike Williams, John, contract year Mike Williams. 16 targets today, 8 receptions, 16 targets though. 165, 8 catches, 165, 2 touchdowns.
He's a beast. What'd Keenan do?
6 for 75.
Yeah, just run of the mill, on his pace to 100 catches.
Odell get hurt? Or just
I
he
don't
only caught 2 balls and it's bad that he's not catching more passes. I thought something happened to him, but I could be wrong. I didn't see
any of the game, to be honest with you. Besides one Njoku, a play where he just ran away from everyone.
Yep.
It was cool.
Kadarius Toney threw a punch, got ejected.
They got their ass kicked, 44-20. He was a character guy in college.
Right. I remember you telling me that.
I'm not saying that, now granted, it's not like a reflection of your character, but it is a reflection of your mental maturity. Hey, bro, you're pretty coached up, probably since high school. You're not allowed to punch in a game. That's an immediate ejection. That's an immediate ejection in college too, right? You can't throw a punch.
No one does it.
It's the easiest flag going. And at least if you are gonna, it was a good he was coming in Tyson Fury style on the guy.
Mark on YouTube says their whole team got hurt, but not OBJ. He just wasn't good today. Baker just doesn't need him.
I don't know what the over-under in that game was, but there were 89 points scored.
Well, it could not have been 89.
No. On the high end, I bet it would have been, 58 or something? I mean, 89.
Let's see if I can.
That's got to be one of the higher scoring games of the season. 47-42. That's
I saw somebody
crazy
call
to even
it.
Look at.
What did somebody call it? They called it the Red LA shoot. They had it was like a good Red River shootout name.
Well, I'll give you one. Do you know
it was like the Red River shootout, but better.
You're gonna have to go back and definitely watch the fourth. Do you know how many points the Chargers scored in the fourth quarter?
How many?
What would your guess be?
Well, now you asked me that, so I'll say 28.
Yeah, 26 points in the fourth quarter. The Browns scored 15.
There were
36. There were 41 points scored in the fourth quarter.
Every time I saw that game, it was like the highlight was Chargers doing something sweet to pull within a score. That's what it felt like every highlight on Red Zone was. Chargers making a play to pull within a touchdown.
Myles Garrett had a sack.
Over-under was 47. So, yeah, I'd say that hit on the over.
Yeah.
I think I saw – was it that game? Was it Jeff? I can't remember. It might have been Schwartz. There was a game where a bunch of points were scored early, and somebody tweeted I have the under. That's over. Maybe it was that game.
Chip Kelly didn't lose last night, did he?
Chip Kelly did not lose. No, they pulled away from Jed Fish's Arizona Wildcats in the fish and chip matchup.
Is that what it's called?
No, that's what I called it.
Well, all right. Spencer Rattler will be Jed Fish's quarterback next year when he comes home to Arizona.
Yeah.
You heard it here first.
Their quarterback got hurt.
Arizona's?
Yeah. Okay. A replay that I didn't care for. Same type deal. So,
pretty ugly?
Just ugly enough that one was enough.
Yeah.
All right. On that note, everybody, have a good week.
Yeah, see you later, people.